Communication is really made up of the content, how you organize your content to make sure it sticks, your delivery, how you express yourself in a way that connects your message to the audience. Extroverted people have a natural flow, right? They will start speaking and they take us on a little bit of a journey and then they get to a point. What I help the extroverts do is recognize the opportunity to think before you speak, to organize your thoughts in a way that's going to land with your listeners sooner, embody presence. And when you do, there are strategies that you can do with your body to embody a sense of confidence, even if you don't feel like you have it. You have to have strategies to manage how your physical is showing up and how your mental emotional is showing up so that you can show up in service to your team, to the project, to the mission, and
Right.
get things done. Practice the pause. Put pauses where they don't seem to belong. See how comfortable you can get with silence alone.
Hey, good morning, folks. I appreciate you guys joining us this morning. Hey, listen, guys, we are privileged this morning to have in our studios Mr. Salvatore Manzi. Salvatore, welcome to the studio this morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's great to be here. Thank you, Bobby.
Oh, fantastic, man. I understand that you are in California today, man. How's the weather out in California today?
Unlike North Carolina,
Yeah.
it's very cool and comfortable. I'm in Huntington Beach at the moment, and we have
Nice.
what's called June gloom, which means the
Okay.
mornings are full of fog, and then by the afternoon it burns off, and we have a beautiful day. So
I,
it's a
I got you.
chilly 60 degrees right now.
Oh man, that's pretty wild. 60 degrees. Well, we've been averaging here in Charlotte. We have been averaging the last couple of days. We've been like in the 80s and almost in the 90s, man. So we're starting to get that summer heat here. So it's it's keeping our
Welcome
AC
to
units
summer.
busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, listen, Salvatore, we got a lot to cover today, man. And again, I appreciate you joining us this morning and taking time out of your busy schedule. So we want to, give you an opportunity, if you don't mind, just to kind of share a little bit more about yourself and what it is that you do before we actually dive into the meat of today's discussion. So,
Great.
floor is
Thank
yours.
you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I am a leadership communications coach. So I help leaders and their teams elevate their communication so that they can have a higher performing, more inclusive spaces where everybody can succeed. Just completed writing my book, Clear and Compelling. It's communication strategies for big thinkers with bold ideas, and it combines 20 years of communication coaching. I have coached all over the world, all levels, from preparing people to speak at the United Nations to helping CEOs prepare a 20,000 person all hands presentation to everything in between. And
Wow.
what I found is that communication is really made up of the content, how you organize your content to make sure it sticks, your
Mhm.
delivery, how you express yourself in a way that connects your message to the audience. And the key one is presence. What are the drivers that are causing
Right.
you to show up with agency, resourcefulness, and show up with that it factor that makes people want to lean in? So that's
Gotcha.
how I coach people. And yeah,
Yeah.
the last 20 years has been quite an adventure.
Oh man, I can't wait for us to dive into this a little bit further, man. So, I mean, is a communication coach, is that something that you always thought you would be, or how did you evolve into that? Maybe give us a little bit of backdrop on that.
That's a wonderful place to start because I am an introvert and I don't crave the spotlight. But growing up, my father spoke at conferences, and every time he came home from one of those, he would be lit up from the experience. And so I, as a child, thought, oh, that's what you do when you want to be lit up. So got to college, started getting on stages, and realized that I don't crave the spotlight, and it's very awkward for me. And when I tried to get training on it, what I found is most communication training, public speaking training, all those Toastmasters, they're geared to help you polish your extroverted charm and charisma. They're
Hmm.
not geared towards the data analytical mindset and how to communicate. So I created my own strategies and structures, and people started coming to me and like, how do you do that? And I found my joy in helping other people express their authentic self and
Nice.
make sure the message connects with others. So I started working for different companies that teach communication. Like I traveled
Yeah.
all over the world teaching programs, and then started my own company a few years ago.
So what were some of the struggles you encountered early on when you started? Did you run into like
I
any I guess just any confidence issues, any type of struggles that you kind of can think about when you kind of kicked this off? Because you said you're an introvert, right? Just
oh
by
yeah.
nature. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm,
as an introvert up on a stage, it's like setting myself on fire. Like, why am I doing this? Like, like I don't need a lot of like imposter syndrome came up initially, and
Mhm.
it what drove me to fear, like, who am I to be speaking on this? Like, why should I be like, why should they listen to me? Like, that was something that I had to work to overcome. But secondly, there was a physiological aspect of it, where the very first time I got on a stage to speak, my voice continued to get higher and higher and higher until I lost my voice. I literally lost my voice because what I found out later, the amygdala had gone into fight, flight, freeze and frozen my vocal cords to the point that I couldn't
Wow.
even speak. Yeah. So that's when I became fascinated. Like, okay, wait, there's something to this. Like, the fear of public speaking is real, but why did my
Yep.
body betray me? Like, and how do I overcome that? And I just started one day at a time, like getting up there and overcoming until.
Right. So, man, that is so interesting because you're right. Now, and I want us to kind of park here for just a second before we go on a little further into the conversation because I know that there are a lot of folks that are probably going to be listening to this podcast and public speaking or
Mm.
just speaking in front of groups or individuals in general is probably one of the most difficult things for a lot of folks to do. I actually ran into this a couple of times actually working in corporate America where I talked to a couple of buddies that actually did not want to pursue promotions or getting into management because it required more speaking. It required more engagement with larger groups. And I saw this early on in my career and I never really paid any attention to it until you just start sharing your story, right? So having this issue can affect you in a lot of different ways, especially when it comes to growth, promotion, advancement, and things of that nature. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, you're touching on a nerve right there. And oftentimes people come to me when they have been passed over for a promotion
Yeah.
because they weren't speaking, or they weren't speaking in an effective manner in the
Mhm.
meetings of consequence. And that's when they reach out to me to find out, how do I elevate? How do I get over my own fear so that I can elevate my voice? Because everybody listening has
Yeah.
powerful, intelligent thoughts and a vision that if they were able to communicate, they could lead a team to accomplish great things. If they can't communicate it, if there's something stopping them from being effective or from their message from landing, that's going to, dampen their career aspirations. I like what you point. There are people out there that are like, nope, I don't want to speak in front of people. I don't want all those
Yeah.
hunger guys looking at me. So I'm going to pass on
Yeah.
the requirements for that, and I'm going to focus on doing what I do well. But there comes a point in everybody's life where your personal message becomes bigger than yourself, and
No, you're right.
that's the point where you have to get up and start speaking about it.
Yeah.
And
No,
I
and
offer tools.
yeah, no, that's so true, man, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I think what you just shared is that there are ways that you can overcome these fears or concerns that you have, but you shouldn't want that to stop you from being promoted. And like I said years ago, I've seen this happen where people basically turn down promotions as a result
Well,
of the increased demand to speak in front of more people. And I just never could understand why that would be a reason why. Until now, we starting to talk, and I realized that this fear of public speaking is in fact a real thing. It
Mhm.
does and can have an impact on individuals, but it also can be something that you can overcome. So now that you're in this communication space, you're a communication coach, you have found some secrets to this from your own experiences. Are you working with just introverts that have this problem? Or are you working with speakers who know how to speak, can speak, but they want to improve their speaking?
I do work across the board. I
Okay.
do tend to lean towards or magnetically draw in a lot of data-driven leaders. So analysts, scientists, financial advisor, people that are used to working with numbers, engineers, all of those, techie. That is my wheelhouse. But the strategies that I've created to work with that mindset apply outside of that mindset. So extroverts 100% can
Okay.
find value in using those strategies for themselves. Extroverted people have a natural flow, right? They will start speaking, they take us on a little bit of a
Mhm.
journey, and then they get to a point. What I help the extroverts do is recognize the opportunity to think before you speak, to organize your thoughts in a way that's going to land with your listeners sooner, so that when you're speaking as an extrovert, you start powerfully, you connect effectively, and you continue the engagement. Versus extroverts' typical go to is engage, get them
Right.
engaged, then attempt to connect, then put the message out there. When you flip
Ah,
that strategy and you drop the content, build a hook at the beginning, build some way of engaging in a different way with the content itself rather than just engaging you because I'm a very entertaining and exciting and charismatic person.
right.
Charismatic. Then you flip the script. So extroverts are going to benefit from this, and introverts are going to find it especially helpful
Gotcha.
because a lot of times as introverts, there's a lot to overcome just to get the voice into the room. So data-driven leaders is my wheelhouse, and I do love working with them.
Oh, nice, nice. I got you. Yeah, yeah. There's obviously a close correlation there between them and perhaps even your own personal challenges that you had experienced, when you started out doing this. So I get it, and this is so interesting, man. So I want to learn more about from you the leadership presence and if you can begin to talk to us about what that is, because obviously, we have an affection for leaders and helping to develop stronger leaders. And so this leadership presence, what is that all about? And tell us, how does that help you to become a more effective leader?
Appreciate they'll dive into this, and it is my favorite topic at the moment. We have content, we have our delivery, and then we have our presence. And the presence is really where the work is. Because when a person gets up to speak in front of anybody else, and you have all felt this at some time or another,
Yeah.
you suddenly feel a spotlight on every aspect of your life. I can't hide the other things that are going on in my life. I feel like I'm being seen. And
Hmm.
presence is the ability to bring our authentic self comfortably to whatever the context is that we are in. All communication is contextual, depends on who we're talking to, what
Right.
we're talking about, and the environment in which we are speaking. So there's no across the board thing that I can say, but when you consider those three different areas and where you are contextually showing up, how are you showing up? What is driving your sense of presence, your sense of groundedness, your sense of confidence and comfort in that context? And what's going on in your personal life? What training, what conditioning, what has happened that got you to where you are now that is influencing the way that you show up? So
Right.
when I talk about presence, I talk about all the training experiences and beliefs that led to us to where we are. But I think the starting point, and let me turn this back to you, when you think of a person, a speaker, as having presence. What is that presence? What is that to you?
It's what you kind of just started out by saying. I heard the word, I guess, authenticity, that your authentic self. I can understand when it comes to public speaking and when it comes to you being able to, and I'm going to speak from my experiences. Let's go back. And let's just say, for example, years ago, as I was learning to become more effective in my communication style, I learned that it was much easier for me to be Bobby than it was for me to be anyone else. In other words, you could, we had colleagues, or maybe there might be people that you have worked with or may aspire, may have some aspirations to do some of what they're doing. And you see that they're great communicators. And sometimes you may try to adapt their style, their flow, their messaging, and you may try to adapt that because you don't have a lot of confidence in what you bring to the table. So what I realized was, in order for me to truly be effective, I had to be me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be me. And when you said that about being your authentic self and just understanding how important it is for you to, for you to be you while applying these other principles and techniques, that's what helped me. And that's what kind of, that's what kind of jived with me when you first said that. So I don't know.
Appreciate this.
Yeah, yeah.
Appreciate this. And you're servicing the essence of challenges that different people have when they show up in front of other people. Number one, fake it till you make it. Like, does that
Right.
work? Should we try it? And there's a lot of times, and I imagine there's a lot of people listening right now that don't feel like they can be themselves in
Yeah.
certain contexts, right? When I get up to speak in front of people, I become a target. I become a target. And there are many of us who are raised in society where we are
Mhm.
targeted
Mhm.
for other aspects, whether it's the color of our skin, the sound of our voice, the age,
Mhm.
the orientation, like all of the gender, like all of these targets become amplified when I begin to speak. So for me to be me in a context where I have already been conditioned not to feel safe as a target, but now I'm making myself a target in a context, which is going to, it amplifies and it creates an unease. And so those of us who need to overcome the conditioning and show up authentically, have to do things like try it till you fake it till you make it. Find somebody else that's doing something, try it on, see how it feels. Like for me, I think of it as like putting on clothes. Like, I'm not going to be a person that goes into a networking situation and have a great time. That's for extroverts, right?
Right.
But I can put on a separate outfit and take on a persona of a more extroverted person and try it and see how it works for me. And then in doing that, I change my conditioning with the new strategies to find my authentic self. And I can
Yeah.
show up as myself in that networking situation, finding the
Yes.
blend between the two, right?
Yeah. No, that's a good way to put it. So for me, it was just like that. I mean, essentially it's a discovery process where you
Exactly.
go through, different things, right? And you say, "Oh, okay, I see this kind of works really well, and this integrate into what I'm doing." And that's how you begin to get more comfortable when you can begin to be yourself while integrating some aspects into you getting to this place of arrival, so to speak.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
yeah, and so that's the thing, man. Because I mean, I see this so often, and I think that as we're talking about this leadership presence, you know, how do you get people, what when it comes to confidence, when it comes
Mhm.
to dealing with these challenges, perhaps that may have been ingrained in us, these limitations that are self-imposed, that we just don't feel like we're good enough. How do you deal with people when you come across them where they have this mental block.
That's and I've been there. I just
Yeah.
want to say 100%. Like I get into certain situations and my imposter monster goes into
Yeah, yeah,
full
yeah.
rage mode. Like you don't belong here. Like they don't want to hear your voice. Like I break it down into a couple of different areas. Let's start with the physical and then go to the mental, emotional.
Hmm.
I know that this podcast and listeners are tuning in because they see the importance of the physical well-being with
Right,
the ability to lead, right?
right.
And physically, there's a lot a person can their body is doing that's going to affect their ability to show up. I had a leader who is now the CIO of a major health network in America, and when we started working together, she was skipping meals, she wasn't getting exercise, she wasn't getting no sleep, and she was having trouble showing up to do her job. At the time she was a director, now she's CIO, but the she didn't recognize the challenges those little missteps in her physicality were causing to her ability to actually show up with presence. Because let's face it, if you're not well fed and you're not well slept and rested and you don't have some sort of structures for your physicality, you can't show up and do your
Right,
job at
right.
100%. So step one for a lot of people is get your physical house in order
Mm,
so that you can embody presence. And when you do, there are strategies that you can do with your body to embody a sense of confidence, even if you don't feel like you have it. Sitting up straight, shoulders back,
yeah,
posture is so
yeah,
important, right? You can't feel confident if you are hunched over, if you are
yeah.
closed in, you can't feel confident. Your body is sending you a signal right now that says, I don't feel comfortable.
Right,
If
right.
I force my body into an opening, if I force my body to adopt the posture of confidence, it starts an internal loop that will increase my sense of confidence in that moment.
Mm,
So
mm.
for a lot of people, just start with get your physical house in order and then use physical behaviors of confidence, like taking up
Wow.
the space.
Yeah. Man, that's so awesome, dude, what you just shared there. Cause I remember a situation where I had a young man that came in that applied for a position with my company. And I remember him coming in for the in-person interview. And when he came in for his resume was stellar. I mean, he had all of the check marks on the resume. And I was like, okay, this guy should be a plug-in for this job. But when he came in, the very first thing that I noticed was some of the things you talked about the posture. And the one big glaring thing was that I noticed with him is when he spoke, he looked down.
Mm.
He looked down when he was talking like this. And I was like, wow. I said, man, what is the deal here with this dude? Right. Because I mean, I felt like he was a perfect guy for the job, and he may very well could have been. The conversation that I was trying to have with him to explore more of the soft skills that he may have had. I just noticed that ability to. It just seemed like he lacked confidence in himself, and that may have cost him. Well, it cost him the job, as far as I'm concerned.
And it could be like at every meeting, there's people that they it costs them the project, it costs
Yeah.
them the promotion because of the appearance of the behaviors that they're exhibiting are less than confident. So there's
Right.
two feedback loops, right? There's the internal feedback loop. If my body is open, my internal feedback loop is telling me that I feel confident. If
Right.
I am projecting a sense of confidence, I'm getting a feedback from my listeners, my audience, you,
Mhm.
that says, hey, I'm being received in a way that feels confident. They seem eager, they're leaning in. And if your audience is not leaning in while you're talking, it's going to create a feedback loop of the opposite. Well, oh gosh, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to do? And that's going to eat up your energy and prevent you from actually connecting with your audience. So
Right.
there's two feedback loops happening, and you just brought it up so beautifully.
Yeah. So leadership presence, if it's not corrected, if we don't address this, it has an economic impact.
Oh.
it literally has an economic impact on an individual's life as it pertains to your advancement, landing jobs, being able to advance in your career. And this is so critical, but I don't understand why. And maybe Salvatore, you could give us more light on this because you've already just given such great information and enlightenment to these issues. But why are more people not dealing with these problems that they know they have? Is there something that you see that's causing people to be apprehensive? Do they feel, well, I don't want to come in and talk to him about, I don't feel confident in myself. I don't feel like I'm a good speaker. I don't feel, people are just shying away just because they feel like there's some shame associated to this.
I can imagine that there is shame involved. Like, I'm not good enough is a story that I think every human encounters at some point in their life. I certainly had it. I have it at moments. I went and spoke at the World Economic Forum, and I'm not good enough to be here was like huge at that point,
Really?
right? And so, oh yeah. Like I was like, what am I doing here? These are world leaders. Like, what? I don't belong here. And I called my coach. I had a speaking coach at the time. I have a different one now, but I called my coach, and we dealt with the second bucket. The first bucket being physicality, the second one being mental, emotional. The perseveration of my brain, looking for the negative, looking for the fear, trying to protect me, but inadvertently keeping me small at the same time. And what my coach did was he kept asking me questions like, why should they hear your voice? Why is your message important?
Yeah.
Why does your voice add power? And it reoriented my brain to start looking for potential possibilities and looking for the real purpose behind my message. And when I was clear on that, the mental machinations that were like keeping me small were gone, and I was ready to show up big. And that will
Wow.
be the second offer that I have. Like, there are natural reasons to feel like I don't belong, to feel like this context in which I'm trying to communicate or lead is outside beyond my hope. No, you're the right person. You wouldn't be there if you weren't the right person. You're the right person. And it's time for you to feel the embodiment of your full presence by quieting the mind's natural inclination to keep you safe and keep you small and focusing on what is the positive potential. What's the real ROI of you getting up and speaking, of you getting up and leading?
Right.
That becomes what becomes powerful.
Wow. Man, that's incredible. Now, how long ago was this experience with the at this speaking event?
Me.
Was that?
For me, that one I call out because it was such a like I was completely blinded by my imposter at that point.
Yeah.
Like it's rare in my career that I feel, but it is contextual, right? Like for every person out there, there's a different leader, there's a different project topic that they feel less than 100% about. Well, I was intimidated by the leadership value of that. And that was, I think, 6 years ago now, maybe just 5 years ago. It was
Wow.
before COVID, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was a telling moment for me to like learn. Okay, wait a minute. Like I've got to do the work on my internal, like mental, emotional state so that I can
Right.
show up effectively in this
Right.
situation.
No, that's good stuff. And see, the great thing that you're doing, Salvatore, is you're actually helping us to simplify this process because I think sometimes people may not want to deal with it because they think it's just so complicated. But you're doing it. You've actually simplified just some things here. Just initially talking about the leadership presence, because, for example, the getting the wellness piece and the health piece, right? The physical piece. When it comes to, and I'm gonna go back and use myself again because I'm my best test case for for the material that you're sharing with us. I remember having a presentation. This was years ago. I had a presentation that I was supposed to do 8 o'clock. I think it was 8 o'clock. And it was about maybe 20, 25 people in the room that I had to do a presentation. And it was a PowerPoint presentation. And, all eyes going to be on me. I'm in the front of the room and all this other stuff. And I had I think I had something going on that caused me to end up having to go to bed late. I remember going to bed late, and I had a very hectic week. I was already sleep deprived, but I also was having some other issues physically that was going on, and at the same time, I had this presentation coming up, and so I just remember bombing on it. That's all I
Yeah.
remember. And I remember bombing on it because you talked about the physical aspect, and I just wasn't there. I wasn't there mentally, and I certainly wasn't there physically. And I noticed my physical impairment, which I didn't realize. I didn't realize it until you just brought it up. I didn't know that's what it was. I was just I was tired. I was wiped out. I was moody. I was emotional. And I just got up, and it just bombed because I didn't get the required rest. I didn't get energized, and I didn't take care of the physical because I didn't think that had to worry about the physical. I knew the material. You know what I'm saying? It's like I knew the
Yeah.
material. So why can't I just come in there and spitball and just knock it out? Didn't work that way.
No, you have to have strategies in place that you can deploy in moments like that, right? Because as a leader, you don't have the opportunity to say, "Oh, I'm not having a good day. I'm not going to do this today."
Right.
You have to show up, right?
Yeah.
So like that second, third, fourth cup of coffee is not going to help you. Like
Yeah.
you have to have strategies to manage how your physical is showing up and how your mental emotional is showing up so that you can show up in service to your team, to the project, to the mission, and
Right.
get things done. Like it's important. And it's like we've all been there, like
Mhm.
the presidential debate, they kept coming up with all these excuses of why the former president didn't show up with more resourcefulness and all
Mhm.
these. They're excuses. You're a leader. If you're a
Right.
leader, you
Right.
have to show up and you have to, it's
Yeah.
perform. And yes,
Yeah.
it is performance, but you
Yeah.
are expected to perform because you are in service to the people that you are leading.
Yeah.
And
No, that you're
yeah,
right. You're right. And unfortunately, they're coming with the expectation that you're going to show up and deliver, and they could care less or not be concerned with, you didn't get enough sleep or you didn't have enough, rest or whatever the case was. They just want you to deliver to them what it is that they came for. And that's the responsibility of leadership when it comes to you making sure that you, like you just said, I guess you got to come with the mindset that you're there to perform, and you are, because you got something to deliver to them, and they're expecting it, you know?
yeah.
Uh,
And if I could add it just real quickly there, just to like
yeah.
cover all my bases and double click here, there is value to presencing what the situation is. Like if
Mhm.
in with the situation you described, there is value to saying, sorry everyone, I'm not at 100% today. I didn't get sleep or whatever.
Right.
I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm not asking for excuses, but I want you all to know that, hey, you know, my mom got in a car accident. Or like if you want to presence
Right.
what's actually happening in the world, it helps make you appear human.
Mm.
And if you're looking for sympathy and being the victim, it's going to go the wrong way. But if you're just presencing it so that people know what's also going
Yeah.
on, it's going to help your message land in a different way where instead of them going like, what's wrong? This person's not showing up the way they normally do. So
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point, man. That's a really good point. Yeah, just kind of sharing the truth, or just sharing, you're right, it can add to the story more or less, and not necessarily hurt you. So this leadership presence and how the conditioning can steer us wrong. Can you talk about that a little bit more? How, I mean,
love
steer us
to.
wrong.
This is where I love my mission is to empower the voices of the people that don't always feel they have a seat at the table. You have to take that seat and you have to let your message become more important than anything stopping you. And it doesn't matter how they are reacting, as long as it's not violent, but you need to let your voice be heard. So there is conditioning that many of us have had around being told that we're supposed to behave a certain way in certain situations. Those behaviors become ingrained by the
Mm,
time we are teenagers. and we become comfortable. If I'm in this situation, I show up this way, and that's what's expected of me, and I don't have to worry about any friction or tension or challenges here. That behavior is not always the appropriate one to get your message across. And I'm going to break it down into three categories: space, stillness, silence. Space. People with a sense of agency are going to take up space. They're going to take up space with their voice. They're going to take up space with their body. They're going to spread their stuff out on the table. They're going to take up space at the table, and they are
Yeah.
taking up space, right? We are often conditioned to create space for others, make other people feel more comfortable, talk a little bit softer,
That's a good
close
point.
yourself in, keep yourself tight. There's a proper context for both of those extremes, right? If I'm leading, I need to take up space. If I'm wanting a person to share some vulnerable, intimate details, I need to make space. We know which way to lean into, but we've been conditioned as an
Yeah.
instinctual reaction to a situation to revert. So watch the triggers. What comes up for you when you try to take up more space physically
Right.
in a situation? What's coming up for you? Like, oh, I'm making myself too big here. I'm gonna get seen. My head's gonna get chopped off, whatever. So that's space. Second is, what did I say? Space, silence, and then okay, silence. People who have a lot of agency, they are comfortable with silence. People
Really.
who don't have that sense of agency are filling the gaps. I keep talking. They're using ums and ahs and mitigating language and all these things. And I just want to keep your attention. Don't let go. Right? People who have a sense of agency can hold that pause and hold that awkwardness so that you feel the depth of what they are communicating. So
Hmm.
we're conditioned not to let a awkward silence happen. Not always appropriate. Train yourself to
That's right.
embrace that silence. So
That's a good.
space, silence, stillness. Stillness
Mm.
is the third category. In a high, if you're looking at a person at the top of the leadership chain, they are using stillness in an appropriate way. Their gestures are graceful, their movements are intentional. They seem to be moving a little bit slower than the rest of the room. They're creating a grounding for the room. The person who is overeager to share, to prove themselves, to share all the content that they have, they're going to be talking a little bit faster. They're going to be moving a little bit faster. They're going to be trying to keep you entertained and engaged by moving around a lot. So, if you want to effectively counteract our conditioning, embody more space, hold the silence,
Mm.
and be intentional with your movement. And you will counteract that conditioning and show up with a sense of more agency and leadership presence in whatever context you're in.
Wow. Man, this is so relatable, and it's practical, and it's actually necessary. And sometime when we, because I'm listening at you describe these scenarios, and sometime I probably all of them I think we have touched on at some point, and in communication, right? But we're understanding, and the way you broke this down is these are all things that we have been conditioned to believe or to do. And the cycle of breaking this, I mean, you've kind of outlined some of the steps there, right? But if you're coaching someone and you notice this about them, how do you attack? Do you attack all three at the same time? If all three is present, or you just deal with one and kind of work from there?
I appreciate this question. I don't usually pull the curtain back to explain how the magic happens. But yet, when I am coaching someone and anyone out there, I would invite an opportunity to connect with you and talk about what is the keynote? What is the one thing that can elevate? Because typically, after 20 years of coaching so many leaders, I can see now, what is it? Is it the space, silence, or stillness? Is it the content? Is it their delivery? Is it a sense of presence? What is it that's going to make the biggest jump? in elevating their communication. Silence is the hardest one for almost everybody starting
Hmm.
out. So I would recommend practicing the pause as a go-to. That might not be the one thing that's going to make the biggest impact on an individual. So I would like to interact with somebody and find what is the keynote that I can zoom in on, that I can elevate, and then we can start working everything else. A lot of times, what happens is people, well, we're just innately self-critical, let's be honest. Like we see a recording of ourselves, we hear our voice on a recording, and we have
Yeah.
not polite things about ourselves, right? The opportunity I would propose, right? I don't know if you listen back to your podcast and been like, cringe, did I say that?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have.
Yep. You know it.
I mean, right? We've all been there. Like, okay, I'm gonna I've been pushing myself to send video birthday messages to my friends now. And whenever I watch the video message back, I'm like, oh, you just sang. Send it before I change my mind.
Right.
That when we observe ourselves, it's important to first call out what we did well. Give ourselves a couple of
Mhm.
things that we did well so that we can continue to polish those things and get better at them. And then we can pivot to what are some things that I could do to elevate. And if you come up with a list of more than three, stop and choose one thing and just work on that tomorrow. One thing.
Got it.
Don't try to
Got it.
don't try to eat the whole enchilada at once. Pick one thing that
Yeah.
you think is going to elevate and do it for an entire day. Pause.
Yeah.
Everybody listening, here's your challenge. Tomorrow or today, whenever you're listening to this, practice the pause. Put pauses where they don't seem to belong. See how comfortable you can get with silence alone. Tomorrow, work on taking up more space.
Right.
And then the next
Uh,
day, work on slowing your movements down in every setting, just to see what it brings up in you. See how
right.
what it conjures and where it drives you.
Oh man. You brought such great awareness to these areas that I hadn't heard, to be honest with you. I haven't heard anyone break it down quite like this. I mean, it's as you're talking, it's certainly relatable because I think we all have experienced these challenges, right? But not knowing how they derived and realizing that, there's a strategy towards dealing with these issues that we have been conditioned to believe that we need to be functioning in. So, man, this has been great, dude. I want to ask you, Salvatore, as we get ready to close out, because there's so many more questions I have, but I know we got limited time, and I want to keep you here on this show all day. I know you're busy. So, what would be some things that you would like to share with our audience as a communications coach, as a leadership specialist, right? What would be something you would like to leave with them today as a parting gift in terms of just some words of wisdom that you can share with them before we close out today?
Spot it, got it. As
Mm,
we talked about earlier, if you see somebody else doing something that you think works, that is
mm,
effective in their communications and the way they're showing up in their presence, if you see somebody, if you're spotting it, it means you've got it. It just
mm,
takes your getting outside your comfort zone, trying it on. May feel fake it till you make it, may feel a little
yeah.
performative at first, but eventually, if you spot it, you will get it and into your everyday repertoire. That would be my parting message to anyone out there.
Love it, love it, love it. And for those that may be listening, if they want to reach out to you to get some coaching, can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Yes, please. If any of this message has resonated with you, please go to clearandcompellingplaybook.com. It's my book. It's going to be released in September on Amazon. Go to clearandcompellingplaybook.com and sign up. Send me a message. Let me know like where do you see challenges? Where do you want to grow? What's the message that you feel emboldened to share but haven't shared yet? I want to help you get there.
Oh, love it, man. Love it. Well, Salvatore, man, thanks again for coming on today, my friend. I appreciate all of the words of wisdom and really, really, in a small amount of time, you gave us such a power packed versions of things that can help us lead more effectively and communicate at a high level, man. And I greatly appreciate that. Thank you for coming on
Thank
today, my
you.
friend. Yeah.
Thank you, Bobby.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to be here. I admire the work that you're doing, the mission and your voice out there. Thank you. And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in. I hope to talk soon.
All right. That sounds good. Well, folks, that's it for us today. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you have a good rest of the day. Talk with you again on next week. Until then, take care.